We were in Litang, which technically was not Tibet. It was just a few miles east of the official border, but for all intents and purposes, it was Tibet. The people were Tibetan. It was the highest, one of the biggest cities at the highest elevation, 12, 13,000 feet. In the hotel room, there was an icicle about the size of my forearm on the inside of the window. It was cold, and this was in March. Well, we didn't take the best advantage of Litang. I don't know why. Hindsight is wonderful. The accommodations weren't great. I don't know, but we decided after a few days to head south again towards Shandian, which they call Shangrala, which was very southern Sichuan, northern Hunan. So we had to get there. We were too late. There was not very many buses, and I don't even know if the bus went there. The bus might have gone back to Kanding. I don't know how we would have gone, but somehow we managed to arrange for a car and drivers. There was a few words of English spoken here, and maybe I spoke a few words of French or Italian, but somehow that morning we negotiated with a couple of Tibetan drivers to take us to where we wanted to go. Well, it was quite the trip. Coming to Litang on the bus from Kanding, which was one of the most spectacular rides. We never really got to stop. The bus stopped once or twice for pit stops and for lunch, but we really never had the adventures to be able to stop. So, because we had our car and drivers, we were able to stop when we wanted. And we're very high in these passes with the prayer flags and the wind blowing. It was spectacular. But we were going very slow. And it turns out what looked like a car only had a 1500cc motor, had a motorcycle motor, with this small car shell with, four big guys or four guys and our luggage. So, I don't think we were able really to go much more than 35 or 40 miles an hour downhill. Well, it was a very long drive, and there's no English spoken with these guys, and we're driving. We just wondered, do they know where they're going? Are we being taken for a ride? Well, as progressed, it gets to be dark, and, we knew from the maps that we had a long way to go. Well, we're very high up in the Himalayas, and we were nervous. And it's all of a sudden it's raining. There's some snow, there's some ice. It wasn't a lot of rain or snow or ice, but still it was a little disconcerting. There were no other cars on the road. There were no houses. There were no lights. I mean, here we were, off on an adventure. And I said to myself, well, if something happens and I have to drive, I think it'll be all right, because I learned to drive in the mountains. I've driven in ice and snow and rain, and of course, no guardrails on this road. You got a mile or two down, but we're driving and we're heading to where we're going. And at one point, the fellow in the front on the passenger side hands me a little flask. Somehow he implies it's some type of an energy drink. I didn't know what it was, but I took a swig. Oh boy, this was some type of hot pepper concoction. Never again. Well, it's dark, and we really couldn't see very much, but about 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning, we actually arrive in Shandian, and we find a hotel, and we decide, we're going to stay at the first hotel we stay at. I guess it was only $10. It was all right, although we had to put a deposit down on the room. Well, in the morning, when we go to get our deposit back, we had a very difficult time, and they're showing us receipts, and these were not the receipts that we had been given, and we found them. So after a little controversy, we finally got our deposit back and found a hotel more to our liking and really liked that town. Well, that day or the following morning, we were at a breakfast in a little place, sort of a Western style breakfast, yogurt and granola, and a few English people, trekkers, young people, and get into conversation. Well, where did you guys come from? Well, we came the night before last. We came from Litang, with our driver and our cars. Well, the guy who was Dutch, some interesting stories about him. Well, you couldn't have come from Litang because that road was closed because of severe weather. Well, that's why we didn't see any of the vehicles on the road, because nobody told us on the Tibetan side that the roads were closed. So actually it was good, because on some of those roads I would not have wanted to meet any oncoming traffic. So we got from Litang to Jandien, which they call Shangrala. And I'll tell you a story about this Dutchman another time.